My cousin stole my dream, then family gaslit me. Now she needs my help and begs after years of entitlement. My name is Ella, and this is a long story, so buckle up. I am 31 years old now, and my cousin Sharon is 30. We grew up practically as sisters, or at least that's what everyone on my mom's side of the family liked to say. But let me tell you, it was never that simple. From day one, Sharon was the favorite, the golden child. You know the type. Whatever Sharon wanted, Sharon got. Birthdays, holidays, even just random Tuesday afternoons, Sharon was showered with gifts and praise while I was kind of just there. It wasn't even like Sharon was particularly amazing or anything. She was pretty sure, and she knew how to bat her eyelashes and turn on the charm, especially around our grandparents and aunts and uncles. But she was also incredibly lazy and entitled. I, on the other hand, always had to work for everything I got. Good grades, praise, even just basic acknowledgement. It was exhausting, to be honest. And looking back, it really messed with my self-esteem. I remember one Christmas when I was maybe 10 and Sharon was 9. I had been asking for a specific art set for months. I loved to draw, and this set had all these amazing colored pencils and pastels, and everything a budding artist could dream of. Christmas morning rolls around, and guess who gets the exact art set I wanted? Sharon. Not only did she get it, but everyone oohed and awed over how creative she was going to be, even though Sharon had never once shown any interest in art. I got a sweater, a very itchy, very beige sweater. My mom tried to make it better, saying things like, "Oh, honey, Sharon needs it more, she's going through a phase," but I wasn't stupid. I knew Sharon just whined until she got what she wanted, and everyone caved. This kind of thing happened constantly. Sharon would decide she wanted to take ballet lessons, and suddenly ballet lessons were the most important thing in the world, even though I had been taking ballet for years and was actually quite good. Sharon would quit after a month, bored, and move on to the next whim, leaving a trail of expensive, half-used hobbies in her wake. Meanwhile, I was still over here in my beige sweater, trying to figure out how to get noticed. The real turning point, the thing that really cemented my resentment towards Sharon and my family's blatant favoritism, happened when we were both in our senior year of high school. College applications were looming, and I had my heart set on a specific university. It had a fantastic art program, and I had been working my butt off for years to build a portfolio that would get me in. I had even applied for a merit-based scholarship that would cover a significant portion of tuition. It was a long shot, I knew, but I had a good GPA, a strong portfolio, and I poured my heart and soul into the scholarship essay. Sharon, on the other hand, hadn't really thought much about college. She was more interested in boys and parties and her social media presence. But then, somehow, she got wind of the scholarship I was applying for. And suddenly, guess who was also applying for the same scholarship? Yep, Sharon. I should have known something was up when she started asking me all sorts of questions about my application, pretending to be interested in my college plans. Looking back, it's so obvious she was just fishing for information. But I was naive. I actually thought she was finally showing some interest in my life. Fool me once, right? The scholarship required a portfolio and an essay, just like the regular college application. I spent weeks agonizing over my essay, crafting and revising it until I thought it was perfect. I talked about my passion for art, my struggles to overcome self-doubt, and my dreams for the future. It was personal, honest, and I thought pretty damn good. I even let Sharon read it because, again, I was naive and thought we were sharing and supporting each other. Big mistake. Fast forward a few weeks. Scholarship decisions are announced. I log into my account, heart pounding, and rejection. A polite, generic rejection letter. Devastated doesn't even begin to cover it. I had pinned so much hope on that scholarship. It wasn't just about the money, it was about validation. It was about feeling like my hard work and talent were being recognized. Then, a few days later at a family dinner, my aunt, Sharon's mom, makes a big announcement. Guess who won the scholarship? Sharon, my Sharon. The Sharon who barely put in any effort, the Sharon who was more interested in her nails than her grades. Sharon won the scholarship. The whole table erupted in applause and congratulations. Sharon beamed, basking in the attention, completely oblivious or maybe completely uncaring about the look on my face. I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. Everything went blurry and muffled. I excused myself from the table and ran to the bathroom, tears streaming down my face. My mom followed me, of course. She always tried to be the peacekeeper, the mediator. "Honey, what's wrong?" she asked, her voice soft and concerned. "What's wrong?" I choked out between sobs. Sharon stole my scholarship. She stole it. My mom frowned. Now Ella, don't be like that, she said, her tone shifting from sympathetic to slightly scolding. Sharon worked hard too, she deserves it. Worked hard, I repeated, incredulous. Mom, she barely even applied until she heard about mine. Did you even read my essay? Did you see my portfolio? My mom sighed. Look, honey, I'm sure your work was lovely, but Sharon's essay must have just resonated more with the committee. These things are subjective, you know. Subjective. I yelled, my voice cracking. Mom, she copied my essay. I know she did. She read it. She asked me all about it. My mom's expression hardened. Ella, that's a terrible thing to say about your cousin. I won't have you talking about Sharon like that. She would never do something like that. Our Sharon is a good girl, a good girl. That's what they always said about Sharon. Good girl Sharon, perfect Sharon, and I was just Ella, the dramatic one, the jealous one. The one who was always making things up for attention. I tried to explain, to plead, to get anyone to listen to me, to believe me. But no one did. My dad patted my shoulder and told me to calm down. My grandparents told me to be happy for Sharon. My aunts and uncles just smiled and nodded, completely dismissing my pain. I was alone, completely and utterly alone, and in that moment something inside me snapped. I realized that no matter what I did, no matter how hard I tried, I would never measure up to Sharon in their eyes. I would always be second best. And I was done. I was done trying to please them. I was done trying to get their approval. I was done with Sharon and her entitled bullshit. I decided right then and there that I was going to make my own way in the world without their help, without their validation, and without Sharon stealing my dreams. I ended up going to a different, less prestigious college, one I could afford without the scholarship. It wasn't my dream school, but I made the best of it. I worked my butt off, got a part-time job to help pay for expenses, and focused on my art. It was hard, really hard. There were times I wanted to give up, times I felt so angry and resentful I could barely function. But I kept going. I had to. I had something to prove, not just to my family, but to myself. Sharon, meanwhile, went to the university I had dreamed of, riding high on her stolen scholarship. I heard through the grapevine that she partied a lot, skipped classes, and generally coasted through her first year. Surprise, surprise. Her grades were mediocre, and she lost the scholarship after her freshman year. But by then, my family had already celebrated her success, patted themselves on the back for raising such a bright and talented daughter, and moved on to the next thing. No consequences for Sharon, of course. She just switched to a less expensive school and continued her carefree, entitled life. After college, our paths diverged even further. I moved to a different city, got a job at a small design firm, and started building my career from the ground up. It was tough, but I loved it. I was finally doing what I was passionate about, and I was good at it. I worked my way up, switched companies a couple of times, and eventually landed a dream job at a major advertising agency. Now I am a creative director, leading a team of talented designers and making a very comfortable living. I even bought my own apartment last year, something I am incredibly proud of. Sharon, on the other hand, has bounced from job to job, never really finding her footing. She tried a few different things, from retail to waitressing to some kind of vague social media marketing gig, but nothing seemed to stick. She's still living in our hometown, still relying on my aunt and uncle for financial support, and still acting like the world owes her something. She's become exactly the kind of person I always feared she would be, entitled, lazy, and completely out of touch with reality. Over the years, I've kept my distance from my family. Holidays are awkward, family gatherings are tense, and conversations are superficial at best. They still don't understand why I'm distant. They still think I'm holding on to some childish grudge. They still defend Sharon at every turn. It's exhausting and frankly pointless to try and explain it to them, so I don't. I just show up when I have to, smile politely, and leave as soon as possible. My peace of mind is worth more than their approval. Then, last week, I got a phone call from my aunt. I saw her name pop up on my phone and my stomach instantly clenched. I hadn't spoken to her in months, not since Thanksgiving, which was a disaster as usual. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Ella, honey, it's your Aunt Carol, she said, her voice sounding strained and unusually subdued. I braced myself. Hi, Aunt Carol, I replied cautiously. Is everything okay? Well, not really, she said, sighing heavily. It's Sharon. She's sick. Sick? I asked, my heart sinking a little despite myself. What kind of sick? It's her kidneys, Aunt Carol explained, her voice trembling slightly. They're failing. She needs a transplant. A kidney transplant. I repeated, the words hanging in the air. I knew Sharon hadn't been the picture of health, but this was serious. Yes, Aunt Carol said, her voice cracking now. And we've been tested, your uncle and I, but we're not matches. And Sharon's on the donor list, but you know how long those lists are. It could be years. She might not have years. There was a long pause. I could hear my aunt trying to hold back tears on the other end of the line. Then she said, her voice barely a whisper, Ella, honey, we were wondering, would you be willing to get tested, to see if you're a match for Sharon? My blood ran cold. My first instinct was to say no, absolutely not. Are you kidding me? After everything Sharon has done to me, after years of being treated like I was invisible, after they dismissed my pain and defended her every selfish move. They actually had the nerve to ask me for this. But then another part of me, a small, almost forgotten part, felt a flicker of something else. Pity, compassion, guilt. I don't know, maybe it was just the shock of it all. My cousin, the golden child, the entitled princess, was sick, really sick. And her mother was begging me, the forgotten cousin, the one who was never good enough, to save her life. I didn't say anything for a long moment. The silence stretched thick and heavy between us. Finally, I managed to speak. I'll think about it, I said, my voice sounding distant even to my own ears. I'll think about it and call you back. I hung up the phone, my hands shaking. I stared at my reflection in the dark screen, my mind racing, my emotions in turmoil. What should I do? What would you do, Reddit? AITAH if I said no. AITAH if I just let karma run its course. Update 1. Wow, I didn't expect this post to blow up like it did. I've been reading all your comments and honestly, I'm a little overwhelmed. Thank you all for your advice and support. It means more than you know. A lot of you are saying I should absolutely not feel obligated to donate a kidney to Sharon, and that I'm in TA for even considering saying no. Many of you are pointing out Sharon's past behavior and my family's enabling of her, and saying that they don't deserve my help. And honestly, a big part of me agrees with you. I'm still so angry about the scholarship, about the years of favoritism, about the constant feeling of being second best. The idea of helping Sharon, of giving her a part of my body, feels wrong. Like I'm rewarding her for being a terrible person. However, there's also this other voice in my head, the one that's whispering about compassion and forgiveness and family. Even though my family has treated me unfairly, they are still my family. And Sharon, despite everything, is still my cousin. We shared childhood memories, holidays, family gatherings. There was a time when we were actually close, before the competition and the favoritism poisoned everything. And the thought of her being really sick, of her potentially dying, it does affect me. I'm not a monster. So after reading your comments and doing a lot of soul-searching, I decided to do something. I called my aunt back yesterday. I told her that I would get tested, but I also told her that this didn't mean I was automatically going to donate. I said I needed to think about it more, to process everything, and to make a decision that was right for me. My aunt was incredibly relieved that I was even willing to get tested. She thanked me profusely, her voice choked with emotion. She promised me that there was no pressure, that they understood if I ultimately decided not to donate. But honestly, I could tell she was desperate. I went to the hospital this morning for the initial blood tests. It was a strange experience. Part of me felt like I was doing the right thing, the compassionate thing. Part of me felt like I was being a complete idiot, letting myself be manipulated by my family once again. And part of me was just numb, going through the motions, trying not to think too much about the potential consequences. The doctors explained the testing process, the risks of donation, and the compatibility requirements. They were very thorough and professional, and they answered all my questions. It'll take a few weeks to get the results back, to see if I'm even a match. And even if I am a match, I still have to decide if I'm willing to go through with the donation. Honestly, I'm still torn. I don't know what the right thing to do is. Maybe there is no right thing. Maybe it's just about choosing the lesser of two evils. But I appreciate all of your perspectives, Reddit. Keep the advice coming. I'll update again when I have more news. And thank you again for listening. Just writing this all out and sharing it with you strangers has been surprisingly helpful. Update 2. Okay, another update. Things have gotten complicated. So, remember how I said I went for blood tests to see if I was a kidney match for Sharon? Well, the results came back faster than expected. And I am a match. A very good match, apparently. The doctors were quite surprised, and they emphasized how rare it is to find such a close match, especially within a family. When my aunt called to tell me the news, she was ecstatic, over the moon. She kept saying it was a miracle, that God was watching over Sharon, that this was meant to be. I, on the other hand, felt nothing. numb, maybe even a little resentful. It felt like the universe was playing some kind of cruel joke on me. Of all the people in the world, I was the one who was a perfect match for Sharon. The person who had caused me so much pain, the person who had stolen my dream. My aunt, sensing my hesitation, immediately started laying on the guilt trip. "Ella, honey, you have to do this," she pleaded. "You're Sharon's only hope. You can save her life. Think of your family, think of Sharon's future. Don't you want to do the right thing? Do the right thing." That phrase really stuck in my craw, because for years no one in my family ever seemed to care about doing the right thing by me. They always prioritized Sharon's feelings, Sharon's needs, Sharon's wants. And now, suddenly, I was supposed to be the one doing the right thing. It felt incredibly hypocritical. I told my aunt I needed more time to think. I said I needed to talk to the doctors myself, to understand the risks and benefits, and to make an informed decision. She reluctantly agreed, but I could tell she was not happy. She kept dropping hints about how selfish it would be of me to say no, how disappointed Sharon would be, how the whole family was praying for me to do the right thing. Later that day, guess who called me? Sharon herself. I haven't spoken to Sharon directly in years, not since college, maybe even before that, so seeing her name pop up on my phone was a shock. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "Ella," she said, her voice weak and shaky. "It's Sharon." "Hi, Sharon," I replied, trying to keep my voice neutral. "How are you feeling?" "Terrible," she said, her voice cracking. "Really terrible? I heard you're a match." "Yes," I said. The tests came back positive. There was a long silence. Then Sharon said, her voice barely above a whisper, "So, will you do it? Will you donate?" I hesitated. Honestly, I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to say no, just to see the look on her face, to finally get some kind of revenge for all the years of being overlooked and undervalued. But another part of me, well, I don't know, pity, guilt, curiosity. Maybe a little bit of all three. "Sharon," I said finally, my voice still neutral. "This is a big decision. I need to think about it carefully. Think about it." She repeated, her voice rising in pitch. "What is there to think about? I'm dying, Ella, dying, and you're the only one who can save me." Her words hit me harder than I expected. Dying. My cousin was dying, and I had the power to save her. It was a heavy burden to carry. I told Sharon I would call her back, and I hung up, feeling even more conflicted than before. Later that evening, I got another phone call. This time it was my mom. "Ella, honey, your aunt told me the good news," she said, her voice bright and cheerful. "Isn't it wonderful? You're a match for Sharon." "Mom," I said, my voice flat, "it's not good news for me. It's a huge decision, and I haven't decided anything yet." "Oh, honey, don't be like that," my mom said, her tone shifting to that familiar scolding voice. "Sharon needs you. Your family needs you. This is a chance to bring everyone together, to heal old wounds." "Heal old wounds?" I scoffed. "Mom, Sharon stole my scholarship. She ruined my college dreams, and you all just brushed it aside like it was nothing." "Ella, that was years ago," my mom said, sighing. "You need to let it go. Sharon was young, she made a mistake." "Everyone makes mistakes." "A mistake?" I repeated, incredulous. "Mom, she plagiarized my essay. That's not a mistake, that's deliberate cheating. And you all defended her, you called her a good girl, while I was left to pick up the pieces." My mom was silent for a moment. Then she said, her voice softer now, "Ella, I know things weren't always fair, but Sharon is family and she's sick. Please, honey, just think about it. Think about what's really important. Think about doing the right thing. Doing the right thing." There it was again. That phrase, that expectation, that pressure. Everyone was telling me what the right thing to do was, but no one was asking me what I wanted. No one was considering my feelings, my pain, my resentment. They just wanted me to be the savior, the hero, the good cousin who would swoop in and fix everything. And honestly, I was starting to resent that even more than Sharon's original betrayal. I need to make a decision soon. The pressure is mounting, but I'm not sure I'm ready to be the good girl they want me to be. What do you think, Reddit? Am I being too petty? Am I letting my past anger cloud my judgment? Or am I right to prioritize my own feelings and needs in this situation? Update 3. Okay, this is likely my final update. Things have moved very quickly in the last few days. After my last update, I took a lot of time to think, to read your comments again. Thank you all, seriously, your advice has been invaluable, and to really consider what I wanted to do. And honestly, the more I thought about it, the angrier I became. Not just at Sharon, but at my entire family. At their years of favoritism, their dismissal of my feelings, their constant pressure to be the bigger person, to forgive and forget, to do the right thing for Sharon. I realized that if I donated my kidney to Sharon, it wouldn't just be a selfless act of kindness. It would be me perpetuating the same dynamic that had always existed in our family. Sharon gets what she wants, everyone fawns over her, and I am left feeling resentful and used. And I was done with that. I was done being the good girl who always put everyone else's needs before her own. So, I made a decision. I called my aunt back and told her that I had thought about it, and I had decided not to donate my kidney to Sharon. There was silence on the other end of the line. Then my aunt's voice, cold and sharp, cut through the silence. "I can't believe you, Ella," she said. "You're really going to let Sharon die? You're going to let your own cousin die just because you're holding on to some stupid grudge from years ago? A stupid grudge." I repeated, my voice rising. "A stupid grudge. Aunt Carol, Sharon stole my scholarship. She cheated. And you all defended her. You called me jealous and bitter. And now you expect me to save her life. After everything." "Ella, please don't be dramatic," my aunt said, her voice dripping with condescension. "This is about Sharon's life, not about some silly scholarship." "Silly scholarship?" I yelled. "It wasn't silly to me. It was my future, and Sharon took it from me, and you all just stood by and watched." I could hear my aunt sputtering on the other end of the line. She started ranting about how selfish and heartless I was, how I was ruining the family, how Sharon was going to die because of me. I let her rant for a while, then I calmly interrupted her. "Aunt Carol," I said, my voice steady and firm, "I have made my decision. I am not going to donate. And I am not going to discuss this with you anymore. Goodbye." And I hung up the phone. I immediately blocked my aunt's number, Sharon's number, and my mom's number. I needed to create some distance to protect myself from their guilt trips and manipulation. I knew they would be furious. I knew they would try to make me feel like the worst person in the world. But I also knew that I had made the right decision for myself. For the first time in my life, I had prioritized my own needs and feelings over their expectations, and it felt liberating. A few days later, I got a call from my dad. I almost didn't answer, but I decided to give him a chance. "Ella, honey," he said, his voice sounding tired and defeated, "I heard about your decision." "Yes, Dad," I said, bracing myself for the inevitable lecture. "Your mother and your aunt are very upset," he said. "They don't understand why you won't help Sharon." "Do you understand why?" I asked him directly. "Dad, do you understand why I don't want to donate my kidney to Sharon?" There was a long pause. Then my dad said, his voice barely audible, "To be honest, Ella, I think I do." I was surprised, really surprised. My dad has always been a people pleaser, a peacemaker. I never expected him to side with me against my mom and my aunt. He continued, "I know we haven't always been fair to you, Ella. Your mother and I, we were so focused on Sharon, on her needs, that we didn't always see what you were going through. I'm not excusing our behavior, honey. We made mistakes, big mistakes, and I'm sorry, truly sorry." I was stunned. I didn't know what to say. I had never heard my dad apologize to me like that before. It was unexpected. "Dad," I said, my voice choked with emotion. Thank you for saying that," he sighed. "Ella, your aunt and uncle are exploring other options for Sharon. They're looking into out-of-state donor lists, experimental treatments, everything they can think of. I don't know what will happen, but I want you to know that I support your decision. You have to do what's right for you, even if it's not what everyone else wants." That conversation with my dad changed everything. It wasn't just about the kidney donation anymore. It was about finally being seen, finally being heard, finally being validated. For the first time in my life, one of my parents had acknowledged my pain, had apologized for their mistakes, and had supported my decision, even when it was unpopular. I still don't know what will happen to Sharon. I haven't spoken to her or my aunt or my mom since those phone calls, and honestly, I don't plan to. I've made peace with my decision. I've chosen myself, my own well-being, my own sanity. And that, Reddit, is something I should have done a long time ago. Life lesson learned. Don't let anyone guilt trip you into sacrificing your own happiness for someone else's entitlement. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to say no. And sometimes, karma really does come around. Not in a vengeful way, but in a way that forces people to face the consequences of their actions. I don't wish Sharon any ill will, but I also refuse to be her savior. I deserve to live my own life, on my own terms, without being defined by her needs or my family's expectations. And that, for me, is a truly positive ending. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.